Have you ever sat there wondering, why is it that after everything you've done for her, after the money, the gifts, the sacrifices, she still doesn't love you the way you love her? Why is it that no matter how much you give, no matter how much you do, sometimes it feels like none of it is ever enough? If you felt this, you're not alone. Every man at some point falls into this trap, believing that women love them for what they do, when in truth that's the biggest lie we've been sold. Today I'm going to tell you the truth that can change your entire love life. Not based on fairy tales, not based on Hollywood movies, but rooted in Stoic philosophy, in Marcus Aurelius' timeless wisdom. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video. It helps this message reach more men like you, and I promise you, if you stay until the very end of this video, you'll see love, attraction, and women in a completely different light. It may hurt at first, but it will set you free. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Love the art, poor though it may be, which you have learned, and be content with it." Now imagine this in the context of love. What he's saying is simple. If you base your worth on what you do for others, you will always be a slave to their opinion, because if they stop valuing what you do, you feel worthless. And this is exactly where most men get trapped. They believe women love them for the dinners, the surprises, the long drives, the flowers, the favors. But here's the truth. Women don't care about what you do. They care about what you are. Because what you are creates the emotional reality they live in. So today, let's uncover the 5 things women truly want. The 5 things that matter far more than your money, your gifts, or your sacrifices. And to make it sharper, I'll use Marcus Aurelius' wisdom as a guiding light through each one, to a purpose greater than her. Have you ever made a woman the center of your world? Be honest, maybe you woke up thinking of her. You went through your day waiting for her reply. You shaped your plans around her moods. And in your heart, you told yourself, this is love. But let me tell you something that might sting. When you make a woman your entire purpose, you don't pull her closer, you push her away. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." Now imagine this, a man who lives only to keep his woman happy. His ambition is her smile, his mission is her approval. It sounds romantic, doesn't it? But here's the dark truth. Soon she grows restless. She starts to feel the weight of his neediness, like she's carrying his entire world on her shoulders. And instead of feeling loved, she feels trapped. Why? Because no woman truly wants to be your mission. She wants to follow a man who has one. Think about it, the men in history, the men women admired and desired, the warriors, the kings, the creators, the visionaries. Did their women love them because they spent every waking hour asking, "Are you happy? Do you still love me?" No. They loved them because those men were driven by something larger than themselves, a cause, a dream, a purpose. Let me bring this closer to home. Maybe you've experienced this before. At the beginning of a relationship, you were focused, you had your hobbies, your goals, your friends, your work. She admired you, she was drawn to you, but slowly you made her your entire world. You stopped chasing your dreams. You stopped grinding. You started orbiting around her life instead of leading your own. And suddenly, the attraction faded. Have you been there? It's not that she stopped loving you, it's that she stopped seeing you as the man she first fell for. Marcus Aurelius taught us that a man's true worth is measured by the greatness of his ambitions. And here's the truth. If your ambition begins and ends with her, you'll never be enough for her or for yourself. So what's the solution? Simple. You must have a purpose greater than her. It could be building a business, mastering your craft, chasing excellence in your career, or serving something larger than yourself, your family, your community, even your spiritual path. Whatever it is, it must be yours. Because when a woman sees that you are a man with direction, a man who walks a path that she cannot derail, she feels something powerful, safety and admiration. She realizes you are not dependent on her moods for your identity. You are a force moving forward with or without her. And let me tell you, when she sees that, she will want to walk beside you. She will want to be part of that mission. Not because you begged her to, but because your purpose pulls her in. So ask yourself, what are you living for right now? Is it just her? Or is it something greater? Something that makes her proud to stand by your side? 3. Self-control and discipline. Have you ever looked back at a fight with a woman and thought, if only I had stayed calm, things wouldn't have gone so bad? Maybe you loved her deeply, but in a moment of jealousy, you said things you didn't mean. Or maybe she pulled away, and instead of giving her space, you panicked, you texted her 10 times, you begged for answers, you lost your grip. If you've been there, you already know. Love isn't lost because of a lack of feelings. It's often lost because of a lack of self-control and discipline. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have to learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference." Think about that for a second. In relationships, so many things are small. Temporary storms, her moods, her tests, her moments of silence. And yet men without discipline turn these small storms into full-blown hurricanes. Picture two men again. The first one, when his woman ignores his message for a few hours, spirals into fear. He thinks, she doesn't love me anymore. She's slipping away. He bombards her with questions, with anger, with panic. His emotions run him, not the other way around. The second man, when the same thing happens, feels the sting. Yes, but he doesn't let it control him. He breathes. He reminds himself that not every silence is rejection. He continues his day, stays focused on his goals. And when she finally replies, he responds calmly without bitterness. Now tell me honestly, who do you think she respects more? Who do you think she feels safer with? Always the second man. Because women crave the man who can master himself. They crave the man who is not a prisoner of jealousy, anger, or lust. The man who is disciplined in his emotions, his actions, his words. Ask yourself right now, are you in control of your emotions? Or are your emotions in control of you? Self-control is not about being emotionless, it's about being disciplined. Enough to let reason lead, not impulse. When she tests you, when life shakes you, when jealousy whispers in your ear, you must choose control over chaos. And it's not just about emotions. Discipline is attractive in every area of life. A man who takes care of his body, who shows up consistently in his work, who doesn't waste his time on every distraction, he radiates strength. Women see that discipline and know, this is a man I can trust. Because if he can control himself, he can protect, he can lead, he can love with stability. So think about your own love story. How many times have you lost her respect, not because you didn't love enough, but because you lost control? How many times have you reacted instead of responding? Marcus Aurelius reminds us most of the things we panic about make no difference. And when you realize this, you gain the power to stay calm, to stay grounded, to stay attractive. Discipline is not just about routines. It's about showing her, and more importantly, showing yourself, that you are the master of your own mind, your own body, your own heart. And once you have that, you'll notice something powerful. She no longer questions your strength. She feels it every time she looks at you. 4. The power of silence. Maybe she was angry at you, and instead of staying calm, you argued back. Maybe she pulled away and you flooded her with texts, hoping words would fix what silence could. But in the end, those words didn't bring her closer. They pushed her further away. If you've lived that moment, you know the truth. Sometimes, silence is more powerful than speech. Marcus Aurelius once said, the best answer to anger is silence. And in love, this is more true than ever. Let me tell you a story. There were two men, both deeply in love with their women. One night, their partners tested them, picking small arguments, complaining about little things, almost inviting a fight. The first man took the bait. He defended himself, he argued, he shouted. He wanted to win the war of words. But by the end of the night, there was no winner, only two wounded hearts. The second man, however, chose silence. Not the silence of weakness, but the silence of strength. He listened. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't try to explain his worth. He allowed the storm to pass, and when it did, she looked at him not with anger, but with respect. Why? Because silence shows control. It shows you are not desperate to prove yourself. It shows you know who you are, and you don't need endless words to validate it. Now think about your own story. How many times have you tried to explain yourself endlessly to a woman, only to feel like your words fell on deaf ears? How many times have you written long messages, defending yourself, pouring out everything, hoping she would finally understand, only to realize that she grew colder? That's because attraction is not built with words. Respect is not earned by arguing. Love is not secured by explaining. It's built by silence, by restraint, by letting your actions, your consistency, and your energy speak louder than your mouth ever could. Women are emotional. They will test you, they will create drama. They will sometimes say things they don't even mean. If you react to every word, If you fight every battle, you lose the war. But when you master the power of silence, something shifts. She begins to realize this man cannot be shaken. He doesn't collapse under pressure. He doesn't lose his frame when challenged. He remains calm, steady, unmoved. And that, my friend, is magnetic. Marcus Aurelius lived in times of betrayal, of enemies, of chaos. Yet he knew the value of silence over reaction. He understood that silence isn't weakness, it's discipline. It's power, it's wisdom. So next time you feel the urge to over-explain, to argue, to fill the silence with desperate words, pause, breathe. Remember, the man who controls his tongue controls the room. And when you can do that, she'll feel something she can't even explain. Respect, attraction. 5. Integrity and character. Have you ever trusted someone so deeply, only to find out later that their words didn't match their actions? Maybe it was a friend, maybe it was a woman, or maybe it was someone you loved with everything. Do you remember the pain of that betrayal? The way it cut deeper than any insult, any fight, any rejection? Now think about this. If you felt that pain, don't you think women feel the same when a man lacks integrity? Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Simple words, but these words hold the foundation of love itself. Because here's the truth. Women don't just want a man who looks strong. They want a man they can trust. And trust isn't built by money or gifts or smooth words. Trust is built by integrity, by living in alignment with your principles. Let me tell you a story. 2 men loved their women equally. The first one was passionate, romantic, always showering her with attention. But over time, she noticed little cracks. He said he'd call, but he didn't. He promised change, but he didn't follow through. He told her one thing, but did another. Slowly, her trust dissolved. Not because he stopped loving her, but because he stopped being consistent. The second man was different. He wasn't overly romantic. He wasn't always talking about love, but his words and actions matched. If he promised something, he delivered. If he said he'd show up, he was there. If he declared his values, he lived by them. And because of that, she trusted him completely. She felt safe, not just physically, but emotionally. Now let me ask you, which man do you think she truly gave her heart to? See, integrity is like the foundation of a house. Without it, no matter how beautiful the walls or how shiny the decorations, the house will eventually collapse. And love is no different. Women may be drawn to charm, to looks, to money, but they stay with character. They stay with a man who means what he says, who lives by what he believes. Because deep down, what every woman craves is not perfection. It's security. And security doesn't come from gifts or sweet words. It comes from knowing I can rely on this man. I can trust his word. I can rest my heart in his hands without fear. Marcus Aurelius led an empire through storms and betrayals, yet he kept his integrity. He knew that a man's true power doesn't come from armies or wealth, but from the strength of his character. And in love, the same rule applies. So I'll leave you with this question. When she looks at you, does she see a man she can admire? A man whose words and actions are one? Or does she see a man who says one thing but lives another? Because here's the truth. My friend, you can lose her respect, her attraction, even her love, but the day you lose her trust, it's almost impossible to get it back. Be the man whose character is unshakable, whose integrity is unquestionable. And when you become that man, you'll find that love no longer feels like a battle. It feels like peace, bringing it together. So let's put this into perspective. Women don't care about what you do for them in the way you think. They care about what you are. Your strength of mind, because that makes her feel safe. Your purpose greater than her, because that gives her something to follow. Your self-control and discipline, because that commands respect. Your power of silence, because that radiates strength. Your integrity and character, because that builds trust. These are the 5 things that matter far more than money, gifts, or sacrifices. And the beauty of it? These are the things you build for yourself. Which means even if she leaves, even if she doesn't see your value, you still remain a man of worth. Marcus Aurelius lived in a world of chaos, wars, betrayals, and struggles. Yet his wisdom still guides us today because he built himself from within. And that's exactly what you must do in love. Stop chasing women by doing things for them. Start becoming the man who is everything they want. Not because you're trying to win them, but because you're becoming who you were always meant to be. So let me ask you, out of these 5 things, which one do you feel you need to work on the most right now? Strength of mind, Purpose? Self-control? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video gave you a new perspective on love and stoicism, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, the next videos will take you even deeper into the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and how it can transform not just your love life, but your entire existence. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.